Makenshi critiques to Makenshi Dick Ride's favorite anime. This is a video I want to do as a response. I don't necessarily care if Digibro sees it. I just want to use it to kind of bounce off an idea that was inspired by one of his videos. And one of his videos was on 7th of March. He put up a video saying he has a disconnect between American TV dramas and anime. He thinks that, you know, some people really love American TV dramas, but they don't feel they're as, you know, as good as animes, and there's some people who don't think animes are as good as TV dramas. So the interesting thing he said was, you know, he has a disconnect between anime. He just thinks that it's a great, you know, it's great drama, but that's all it is, he says. And he goes that in anime they're able to kind of do the drama but set up all these scenarios that it doesn't fit into a particular formula or category. So if just because you're the noir genre or just because you're the fantasy genre, that kind of thing, you can get a kind of plethora of things within that, and it's not necessarily just about character drama. And he feels as though it's monotonous watching TV dramas because he feels as though he's watching the same thing play out. It was a great character drama, that kind of thing. For me, I'm not here to badmouth anime because I fucking react to anime. My whole channel is based around reacting to anime. But one thing I want to bring up is the economy of characters. I think Western TV dramas handles the economy of characters a lot better than, say, anime, which is why I'm always gripped by TV shows. I can burn out on animes really quickly. You know, I think there's more of a disconnect inherently there because these are animated things, whereas you're watching real people with real expression and nuance, as he says, you know, act on screen. And, you know, sometimes, depending on how good the actor is, it becomes more believable, it becomes more immersive. And usually we see more grounded kind of shows, whereas we get more fantastical, more kind of scenarios that aren't really that plausible if you apply them to kind of a grounded drama with real actors. So the economy of characters is what I mean is, you know, the economy. So if you reduce supply, demand goes up, or if unemployment goes up, GDP goes down. It's a chain effect that you know, things have with other things, and it ripples throughout. So the economy of characters, I think, is when a character in a TV drama does something, or it's subtle, or there's nuance there, it's something that they will pick up on. So if someone's very aggressive in a TV show, but they're being passive aggressive, the other character will play off that. They'll pick up on the facial expressions of that character. You can create tension and drama without having to spell out everything, which is what Digibro said, that animes tend to have to spell out their themes, spell out what they mean. You know, I want to go for revenge. There's no intensity, there's no subtext subtlety in anime because of the nature of the animation, and you can't show nuance. And exactly right what he said. So I think the economy is when someone does something in a TV drama, it has a rippling effect. It has a rippling effect on this character, which ultimately has a rippling effect on another character. If he's got a job in a police force and he fights with this character, he's going to get fired. If you take Naruto, if two ninjas have a little fight or scuffle in that kind of thing, even though there's some discipline there, they're not going to be kicked out. There doesn't seem to be any sort of repercussion, you know. When you write that anime, you're very much trying to make a point, and you're not worrying about, you know, small consequences or tangential things that come across with that, because it's an anime at the end of the day. You need to put across the story. You're telling a fixed story. You don't have an economy of characters. Sasuke is very much this, has no nuance at all. He's that emo, I want revenge, stoic guy. You got Naruto, the happy-go-lucky, this guy, he will never break away from this. It may seem as though I'm attacking shonen, but shonen, I think, is a good comparison to make, because shonen is so popular and everyone loves shonen. And I think FMAB is good. I think you know, Hunter x Hunter is brilliant. But I think those have the problem. Those are a problem that TV shows don't. That the economy of characters is handled a lot better in TV dramas. Also, TV dramas are a lot more grounded. Sometimes when you're watching escapist fantasy, anime, that kind of thing, there's only so long you want to, you know, escape into that before you want to see something a bit more grounded, a bit more filled with drama. So I don't agree with this fact that, you know, I'm not here to say what's better or what's not. I know a lot of people just fucking really ride hard on anime and that kind of thing. I'm not here to take the piss out of that. And one thing he bought was Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and I totally agree. I think Legend of the Galactic Heroes is one of the few exceptions which I would put in the same vein as True Detective. I'll put it in the same vein as Breaking Bad. I'll put it in the same vein as The Wire, is because of its economy of characters. When someone says something in the room, that conversation doesn't stay in the room. It passes on to the politicians, the elite. It passes on to the enemies. There's an economy. There's a ripple effect, and one person's decisions have a rippling effect across the whole series, and it forces those characters to come into conflict or talk about, of someone's actions. They talk about the subtleties of someone. Small things like Reinhard getting ill worry people. When do we see that in anime? When do we see these moments in between moments? There may be a scene in a TV drama where, I don't know, Rust is throwing up in a sink because he's too drunk, or someone's got some issues going on. You see them in between scenes that push the plot forward. You see those moments in between to give them development. They're not this archetypal stoic guy. This clan's going to be this guy's going to be this hunter's going to be this character's this archetype. It doesn't. There's more nuance in that, and I totally agree. Even though he basically answered his own question, that there is more nuance in TV drama, and TV dramas wasn't always good. In the 90s, as much as X-Files, Twin Peaks and X-Files really did well, they weren't great. They were episodic. They were pushing the plot forward. There was very little development. But X-Files had a it was fortunate that it had two characters it focused on, and in a 20 episode series, they were able to piece together a little bit of development. Twin Peaks was a quirky TV show, but I'd hardly say that it developed its characters much. It just relied on its genre and all that goofy stuff. But as we've come across the years, TV shows have got a lot better. There's more focus on character. I think that's one thing that puts every show that people regard as like up there as the best in the genre are character studies, are character focused. Sopranos is a huge character study. Breaking Bad is a huge character study of this man who's having a midlife crisis, had cancer, decides to do something which goes against his kind of, morals, But sometimes when someone's pushed, it's more of a character study. The story is really just a device to explore this character and explore this character in these scenarios. I think with anime, I wouldn't say all anime, but only the best anime like Monster. Even Monster has its flaws. There's so many implausible scenarios in Monster that you couldn't get away with in TV shows. There are some certain things in Monster that just wouldn't translate well, and that's one thing I think that's the beauty of anime. Anime can do things like, when someone sees bad CGI in a movie, green screen bad CGI, they'll notice it looks disgusting and it takes away from the scene. Anime doesn't have that problem. Anime can be as visual, creative, bombastic as it wants, but if it can get the writing right, everything comes together like a fucking package. When a TV show tries to do shitty CGI, tries to do all these things that are more visual, which animation is a visual medium when you think about it. Writing is one thing, but they animate it. They made that conscious decision to adapt something into a film or an anime. More likely, when mangas get adapted into animated form, they had music to it. TV shows don't always have music in every scene. There's scenes where completely quiet. What anime have you seen that doesn't have a recurring a song playing? Through normal moments, someone walking down the roads, jolly music, action music coming between scenes, that kind of thing. True Detective, for example, sometimes decides not to use music because they know they don't have to emotionally manipulate the audience, because there's nuance, there's expression. You can convey that. But when two animated characters are fighting, if you have no music, you can't have the intensity of it. So I don't believe that that they've fallen into this thing and we all agree characters are most important at the end of the day. And another thing I want to bring up is Mamoru Oshii. And I saw an interview with Mamoru Oshii where he goes, he's kind of jaded with modern anime, and he says if people aren't creating new worlds, you're not going to get new stories. You need to create new worlds to create new stories. And so True Detective is a great TV show. It follows the tropes of the noir detective genre, but it decides to make it take place in Bayou, Louisiana, swampy area. We rarely get exploration into that kind of place, which was ravaged by floods and destroyed, and people's existences of people were wiped out from the tornadoes that went on there. People were missing. Some bodies were turning up years later. And this is real life. People were Hurricane Katrina, all that stuff. People's bodies were turning up. No one knew anyone was. People were missing for years. A murder could take place in those kind of places, and no one would ever know about it. And that was such an interesting setting, and they were able to tell this true detective story about this family small town Blackwater conspiracy which spread across it. So that was very much because of the setting. And one thing everyone will say is that the setting for True Detective what set it apart, and it was the acting. So there's the characters and the setting, and Mamunochi is completely right. You don't create new worlds or new settings to take your stories taking place in. You're not going to get new stories. They call it ReZero is called Regarding Zero Life in Another World. I made the joke is regarding ReZero, life in yet another fantasy world. Regarding Zero, life in yet another fantasy world. It's just the same sort of fantasy world with a princess figure, a white knight fucking figure, evil, nefarious witch mage figure. You're not getting new stories. You may be seeing someone trying to add psychology to it, like ham-fisting in that fucking psychology story, or trying to make this character deeper than they are. But ultimately, they're betrayed by that setting because there's really nothing much you can do. There doesn't seem to be an economy of characters in there. They were completely, Subaru's actions were, even though they were completely like rash and unintuitive. It didn't because of his ability. It didn't have a lasting effect on that world. I would have loved if he was able to live with his mistakes instead of repeating and that kind of thing, which I feared. But you couldn't get away with that. That if you were to do that in TV shows, it would become one of those B-tier TV shows like The Arrow or fucking Flash or some shit like that. So they really want to make these shows grounded, and I'm not saying you should compare the two, but I really feel as though for me personally, I don't burn out on American TV shows because we're always getting something. We're always getting great characterization, but we're always getting some things that are grounded, but at least maybe looking at it in a what-if scenario, more what-if scenarios. What if this happened? What if this his chemistry teacher decided, you know what, fuck my mundane life, I got cancer, I want to go cook meth and shit. The scenario is not implausible. It's not the most implausible thing you could think of. Whereas in anime, there are far more implausible things. But you should kind of take them separately. Fate Zero got bought off. Fate Zero is fantastical. It's got powers and maybe it has got an economy of characters. I'd agree. Fate Zero is a good example, but it's still kind of implausible, and sometimes you don't want to escape that far down, and you can get burnt out and seeing the same sorts of things happening. We always get the same squire to knight story in shonen. It's always this little underdog squire to knight. The boy becomes the man, boy becomes the knight, and proves to everyone how good he is and great he is, and we get that in shonen, which is why I'm using that as an example. It's not all like that in anime. You do great signings out there, great fantasy stuff. You could kind of compare Berserk to Game of Thrones, for example, but even Berserk has its flaws. And especially animes kind of push those flaws out, but I think those are my views, man. I think the economy of characters is most important. I think the American TV dramas handles its economy of characters really, really well. It gives them freedom to do it, and they decide to pick actors to play these parts because they can convey intensity. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't convey intensity in anime, but you need that music score. You need things beyond the voice to make that happen. And sometimes it fails, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes animes are poorly written because you're writing for a 20-minute episode. You may have 11 episodes, 20 minutes each. You may have 27 episodes, 20 minutes each. You need to, and shows aren't like that anymore. We get 45-minute episodes, which are like OVA size, 45 minutes episodes of 10 length, or we may get 20 episodes at 45 minutes minimum. That they focus on storytelling, and there maybe still be filler shit in the animes of old, like Lost had like 3 seasons of filler, but we don't get that anymore. Netflix is proving that it can invest in great shows, and we keep seeing it get better and better and better. What can you see about anime? Would you say anime is getting better and better and better? I wouldn't say so. At the very least, it's static. It's stagnant. It's there. It's kind of holding on to the ledge, of the status quo, but it's not rising above it. Look what they did with Blame. Look what they're doing with Berserk. They're not doing those justice. Great material, not given the justice they deserve. They really should invest in it. I feel Funimation and Crunchyroll are coming together. They need to fucking step up and fucking invest more, or help out these companies to bring better content to their fucking streaming services, that kind of thing. Have a partnership. Just like Netflix has partnerships with actors, Hollywood producers, indie guys. I think they care about the art more than more than the anime industry and manga industry, I think the Hollywood in the West cares more about its artists and the writing and that kind of thing, you know. So that's my opinion. I'm not here to say one's better than the other. I enjoy anime. My thing's anime channel, but you guys might not realize that I love fucking TV shows, and I think there's something different to be had from someone really acting, a great actor acting out a role written for them, and that perfect matching, you know. I mean, we can't really say anything bad about Japanese voice acting. Can you really say that you watch a Japanese anime and you kind of consciously we're so used to hearing Japanese, where you're so used to seeing the same voice actors over and over and over again, transitioning between shonen and other animes, that we don't question it. That performance is solid, but it's the visual aspect to it, it's the writing aspect to it that is contingent. Whereas in you know, even a bad story can be made kind of better with a great performance, a great, you know, great acting, and there's many examples of those kind of things. So let me know what you think in the description box below, man. Sorry, the comments below. Do you agree with Digibro? Do you agree with me? What are you somewhere in the middle? What do you think about this whole American TV dramas versus anime thing? And it always comes up. I know I do always like have this debate with, you know, people who are my close subs on my Twitter, on you know, in private messages, that kind of thing. You know, there's always this thing where I really like American dramas. Why can't people be like me, like anime and TV dramas? I constantly get 2 or 3 people really shitting on American TV dramas, but they don't watch TV dramas. They just shit on it, even though they don't watch them. You know, I'd rather have a conversation with someone who really loves The Wire. I have one guy on Twitter, 2 guys on Twitter that watch Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Wire, fucking, you know, all these great shows out there, and there's many more I could mention. So let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching.